Checking, checking. Bloop, bloop.
Check, 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 check. Alright, let's adjust the sound. Now that we can hear ourselves. Instead of the voice modulator. Wait, can you turn up your sound over there so I can hear? Right. No, okay, I think it's good. Let's see. Alright, let's adjust the numbers here. Students, I can't stutter. Bleh. I feel like Joe Biden. I have a speech impediment. Okay, so don't test it from here. Like this? Okay, if I'm sitting like this, can you hear me? Sounds good. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, now I want you to start talking to me from over there. Without muting me. See? Okay, that's what I was worried about. Oh, someone's coming on you. That's what I use. That's cool. Cool. So what are you gonna play? Yep, I'm gonna play a little bit of Fall Guys, and then we're gonna play what's called GTA 5. So if you hear gunfire, that's me down here. Or car crashes. It ain't the best. Delays. Yeah. You heard delays because the voice modulator? No. Oh yeah, right. You're over there and twisted like that. Oh. I wish I knew how to make my arms move. I haven't figured that out yet. I don't know. Tommy. Can't do the cannon. Oh, it's cool. We gotta get more effects. Quinn. It's over. Not fine. Love you. Good night. But you know, I have those donuts. I could make an effect where like it gets really big, and that's like a transition to the getting ready. Like it hops in, then fills the screen. I can do that right now. It's like it's right on there. All you have to do is unlock it. Okay, fine. Oh, let's go. Yeah, just say get relaxed. And I want to be able to hear myself. Know that I said okay. Test outside. We'll get coffee. Yeah, it's rolless. Okay. I gotta change my outfit. I know what I'm gonna do though. Yes, you can reset me. Wait. My favorite outfit wears a chicken head. Recite that save presets. And can't get comfortable. Where is it? Oh, whatever. I'm just gonna play. We're on a time crunch, aren't we? Sun Assistant Sparkle, soon to be on next stream. It's that though. I don't even know what I picked. I guess play knockout. Oh, I lost my headphones. So cheer. Oh my gosh. That was really boring. I didn't like that one. Kind of dislike. Lame. Wait, I'm getting my headphones back on so I can actually hear the game. The near ancient forests. Ugh. Also in a language that I cannot read. Some form of Elvish. Can't read it. There they go. Don't punch me, please. Thank you. Alright, Sound Assistant Sparkles, get ready, it might die. No. Hey! Am I late? Oh, that was perfect! Oh my gosh, clip that. Please. Sound Assistant Sparkles. Actually, what? I got it. It's now, we can do it later. All these outfits are lame. I want the sailor's hat so bad. Be a little sailor. I wish I could change my username. Sound Assistant Sparkles, is there a way we can change the username? Our username on Xbox. That shows up. Huh? I don't know. I suck at this one. And apparently this person does too. Oh, why are we so bad? Oh, look. Oh no, he's gonna get it. Oh. Oh no, oops, I wasn't even paying attention. Oh, Hair fall. Yes. Oh yeah. Oh. Boo. What do you like? Make it go fast over there. Go. Hey, look at that! Viktoriya V. I missed our name. Dang it. Viktoriya Vogue, volleyball queen. Oh, what's this one? This is new. Final round. Blurry beans. I messed up. Oh, man. I'm not gonna win. Oh no! Oh no! Oh. I should have 2 deaths. Right, let's get my points. Do it later. Okay. Just curious. I might have to... Failure. Okay. First by library. Sunrise Digital. There. On the kappas, they're coming for us. I don't even know what era this is. All I know is that we get to steal stuff. Well, I guess I can base off that arc. The length and lying on my back.
Nice and tight. I am 18 inside, baby.
Huh?
Smile when we already go.
Oh.
Again, and see you.
Well done.
Came in. Yes.
Okay, now this is when I would start the next stream right here, or cut it right here. So, yeah. I don't know intros yet. What should I say for an intro? Find me. Can you show me my Twitch information? That, yeah, stream information. Okay. That's really what I'm doing. Okay. Oh. Should I restart?
Everybody pays attention. No one gets hurt. Go! Open the door. They'll get worse than hurt. Hey!
Yeah, let me restart.
Come on!
How do I quit it?
Yeah. Right. Not sure.
You best show some respect, as I guarantee.
Oh, there. So what? Let my intro be. Welcome, Candy, Coated. Can you reset me? Oh, you know what? Hold on, my mic. Ah. Hold on one second. I gotta hear it. I need to do this. My mic was in front of the camera, so I think that was an issue. Mounty, okay, moving around, shifting around. Am I seeing okay? Okay. Oh. So I'm gonna practice my intro before I actually do it. Is that okay? Let's film Jack. But yeah, I don't know what to say. My mouth is really dry. Okay. Welcome to my stream. This is my first time playing this game. It feels so silly. Yeah, it's just really dark. Do you mind that right there? Otherwise, you'd have to reset me again. Connect. Stop. Thank you. I'm sorry. That's a lot better. Thank you. Makes me feel more natural. Okay. It has my enunciation right now. And it has my voice coming through. Okay. Welcome to my stream. Wait, how do I do this? Settings? Game. F. Hello, hello, hello. I just have to talk, and then you'll see it move. I think we should be in like me fussy. Not that. That's creepy. Do you have like a soft smile? Bell. Maybe we'll change back to neutral. It won't go back to neutral. You do that for me? I look like a creeper.
Get down there! Alright,
You can
everybody
see.
pays attention. No one gets hurt. Go!
Help
Open the
you,
door.
sentences and
They'll get worse
sparkles.
than hurt. Hey! Come on! Finally!
Come on.
Let's go! Shut up!
Violence.
Shut the fuck up! Come on!
Ooh,
In the
language.
Back. Come on! Come on!
I'm glad I made this not for kids.
In the back! Come on! Let's go! Come on!
I hope.
Get in here and deal with the guard!
Oh, I wasn't paying attention. Hello.
In here! Come on!
Okay.
Hands behind your back!
Come on, mister. We're giving you everything you want.
Oh,
Don't
let's
even
play.
think about it!
I'll do it. Oh, God.
Get in there! Sit tight! I'll handle the blasting! Don't blow yourself up! Pay attention!
Hey, sit down. Oh. Seven System Sparkles. I killed a hostage. Lane enough, North Malcolm got him.
Alright, everybody pays attention. No one gets hurt. Go! Open the door! They'll get worse than hurt!
Open that door.
Hey! Come on! Finally!
Oh,
Let's go! Shut up!
Pilots.
Shut the fuck up! Hands behind your back!
Come on, mister. We're giving you everything you want.
Don't even think about it.
I'll do it. Oh, God.
Get in there! Sit tight! I'll handle the plastic! Don't blow yourself up! Listen up!
Fuck.
In the back! Come on!
Targeting large millions.
Em, get these assholes in the closet! Leave us alone! We didn't do shit to you! You!
Oh. Go.
All set! Phone it in! I'm calling it!
What am I supposed to do? Use the phone. Oh. It's directions.
know it's in your contact list.
Hello, that date.
All right, you gonna do this? Huh?
Locations are marked with the yellow.
Show me the
Go.
money! Slow
Show
and
me
steady,
the
T.
money.
Slow
Money,
and
money,
steady.
money. Where am I going? Oh, wait. Excuse me.
That's the score.
Take. Oh, yeah, take it off. Give me that. Going on a heist.
There's enough here for us all to enjoy.
Wait, is this a
Depends on how
heist?
you
Or
look
this is
at
a robbery?
What's the
This is a
holdup?
robbery.
Coming out,
Let's
B.
go.
Give it up!
Oh, don't be a hero. Oh no. Oh, we gotta kill him.
Get 1,000 things
He
every
saw
day.
our
How
face.
about you make sure this is one of them?
I've seen his eyes. He's crazy.
No one's crazy. I
Switch
think.
to home.
Be cool.
How do I switch? No, Jack, go.
I'm fucking crazy. It'll be quick. Problem.
Oh boy. All right, look. You want to live? Tell me you want to live. Work this out.
For sure I want to live. Tell me to put the gun down.
Where is it? Damn.
You didn't have to do that. Let's get going. There'll be time for grieving later.
Yeah, time for grieving later. Shouldn't have been a hero. I feel like this guy's a hillbilly. Just by the way he walks. Is that racist? Sound assistant Sparkles? We need to cut that out. I'm sorry. I love my hillbillies. Wait, where am I going? Wait, yeah?
What are you doing? Find some
How do I
cover.
take cover? How do I cover? How do I cover?
I'm ready to do this. Now get in cover.
What? Sound assistant Sparkles, how do I cover?
Quit fucking around and get down.
That's fine.
I'm
Oh,
setting the
got it.
charges. They're on a timer, so brace yourselves.
And put my wrist wrap on
Fuck,
that.
you hear that?
Wrist
Siren.
pain?
Fuck the cops.
Oh,
T, hit the
wait for
shutter
me.
switch.
Wait for me. How do I get up? How do I get up? There we go.
Heads down. We gotta go. Get down.
Can I get down?
They answered the wrong call. Get in their faces.
I got
Come
it.
on, guys.
How do I,
Profession.
how do I get out of here?
We bring it to them. Ah,
So run.
don't be an
Okay,
idiot.
got it. Okay, how do I get my gun? Get my gun.
Back the fuck down.
Why did I take my hoodie off?
We
My
keep
face
going
off.
forward.
Wait, he's dead.
Who's next? You shouldn't have been a cop. Press forward. Get out of here.
How do I get out of this
Get out of the
thing?
way or suffer the consequence. Move, move, move.
I don't know how to shoot from cover.
We're coming
Where's this
through.
fire?
Get out of the way. Dumb fucking cops.
Got him.
Ah.
Come here. Hop back up. Come on. Got him. Oh. Got him. Hell, don't shoot me. That's your own fault. Just come out in the open. Yeah. Go. There's one more. Got him. There's one more. Where are you?
We got a window. Let's go.
Where am I going? Wanna get in this? Can I get this? No.
There'll be many more cops in this town.
Nah, it's fine.
Bring 'em. This is fun,
Wait.
man. The thing is blown. I got my share. It's still wide open. Cars up here. Let's go. Move. Come on. The kid might have failed.
Can I switch to guns?
Job description.
Wait, how do I... Oh, wait. Can't see where my little target is. Fanny. Got him. Cha-ching. Cha-chong. Headshot. Oh. Thanks, Sean. How do I, melee?
Come on. Get to the driver. Let's get out of here. Every man for himself.
Be everyone.
Reload. Why? It's all over me. Oh, but I need to switch.
See that shit? Fucking put that bitch's face against the glass. Did you see that?
How do I drive?
Real stout.
Brad, let's go on a speed chase. Oh. Is the shirt? How to shoot? Oh, he did.
Guy's a dick.
Why? Cool.
Come on. Let's get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper.
We move quick. We can beat the train. We're getting there.
I'm getting now. How do I brake?
Be cool. They ain't made this car yet.
Man, I'll believe in this bird when I get eyes on it. Shit! Roadblock!
Go right. Beat the train, man.
I was way farther than that. They were safe. A safe could be no train in sight.
All right. Fuck. Come on. Ditch the car, all right? We can go this way to the
Yeah,
chopper.
that's
No.
it.
Hey. Stick to
Where's
the
the
plan.
chopper?
What? Stick to the fucking plan. Come on.
Where the fuck's the
Well,
chopper? Fuck.
I think they have chickens on this farm. Oh, he's gonna shoot us. Oh,
The fucking
right in the...
Someone must have fucking talk. All right. Brad's gonna be fine. We gotta get the fuck
Brad. Of course he's a Brad.
I'm hit!
Oh,
Oh, Jesus! T, you gotta get out of here!
where's your
I can't
blood,
leave you,
sir?
Mikey.
Take the blood. You're not hit.
God, I'm not gonna be... fucking gonna bleed out! Go!
Go, Jimmy. Jimmy, I didn't cut to Jesus. Da. Nice one.
Fucking cocksuckers! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you! Fuck you!
Am I supposed to escape? Am I supposed to escape?
Come on!
Yeah, you guys are supposed to leave.
You! Hey!
Oh, come back here. I need a hostage.
The chopper! If you come near me, she's fucking dead! Stay back!
Oh, he's a nice man. He didn't actually hurt her. Traumatized her, though. That's for sure. Oh, into a creepy pasture.
Michael was not always a good husband.
Maybe we did die.
Not
I
always
thought he's
a good
in this
citizen.
game.
He did not die a hero's death, but he was a man. Our Lord
He was a man.
was crucified with 2 thieves.
Are you sure about that? What if he identified otherwise?
We should not judge. We are born of sin, and we die in sin. And in this, Michael was like anybody.
Oh, there he is. He's not dead. What's this mean?
We do not know your infinite mysteries, but we know that you will show mercy to our friend.
Grand Theft Auto 5. Ba-da-boom. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Grand Theft Auto. Ba-ba-ba. That's a silly song. I should cut that out.
Your son, James. He's a good kid.
He's a good kid?
And of course, we're
A
at
good
therapy.
kid. Why? Does he help the fucking
Got
poor?
away with a
No.
robbery.
He
took
sits
all
on
the
his
money.
ass all day, smoking dope and
Yeah,
jerking
now
off
we're
while
at
he
the-
plays that fucking game. If that's our standard for goodness, no wonder this country's screwed.
And what
Maybe you
about
should turn off the
you?
internet.
What about me?
Stop
Hey.
paying for internet. And see how he acts.
I don't have the advantages that kid has. By the time I was his age, I'd already been in prison twice. I robbed banks.
The great
ran
aspirations to
floors,
live up to.
smuggled dope.
And you consider them achievements.
These were the opportunities I had. At least I took them.
And where did these opportunities get you, Michael?
They got me
Where
right
did they get you?
fucking here. The end of the road. With a big house and a useless kid, and I'm stuck talking to you because
What
no
are
one
these
else gives a
intros?
shit. Oh, I'm living a
I wanna
dream, baby.
steal some
and that dream
cars.
is fucked. It is fucking fucked.
Let it all out.
We're hungry.
I think I just did.
Oh, well, I think that's all we have time for. The same time next week?
I guess. Oh. I gotta tell you, I ain't too sure this shit is working for me.
Well, a sense of overriding futility is a vital part of the process. Embrace it.
Whatever you say, Doc.
Don't take the boy like that. Oh. Listen. I'm stuck. I can't go back to neutral. My neutral button is broken. Tony's my. Oh. No.
I know just how you feel.
Man, shit gotta be around here.
I can switch between the other ones.
They buried it under the sand, fool. Another brilliant Lamar Davis production.
Man, fuck you. Hey, excuse me, homie. Can you tell me where Berto Beach House is?
What was that,
No,
Roberto?
I cannot.
Man, would you come on? Fuck.
Actually, yeah.
Yep, that works. Thank
That
you,
house
Sound
right there,
Assistant.
with the yellow
He
stairs.
gets that house right every day.
Yeah. Good looking out, homie. Appreciate it.
Man, get your
Homie.
stupid ass on. Damn. Why don't you ask him if he knows
Stupid.
the fucking owner? Or better
So
yet, do
stupid.
some skywriting that reads there's a couple niggas here about to boost some cars
Oh.
in case somebody didn't realize.
See, what
That's
you don't
naughty
realize
words.
is we ain't
Very
boosting.
naughty
This shit is
words.
legit
Don't say
business.
these words.
Legit. Oh yeah,
Legit.
I forgot, huh? 401ks, tax returns and all. Yeah, right.
You the one all pumped up on doing this lick, nigga. I'm getting my money in the hood. I'm straight, fool. I'm cool.
You
We
cool?
straight,
Cool what?
fool.
Slinging dope and throwing up gang signs? Yeah, right.
Whatever, homie.
Okay, awesome. Side assist and Sparkle.
This is the spin knot right here. Your boy Simeon wasn't.
It's gonna be on next stream.
Get your ass in there.
Get your
Bring your
ass.
ass,
Can I
fool.
see the A
Always trying
word?
to boss
Side assist and
somebody.
Sparkles? Yeah. Get your ass in there. Get it in there.
Shit, come on.
Oh, shit. Come on. Come on.
This nigga must got the baby dick.
Yeah, and all this shit paid for with bad credit.
I didn't see that. Side assist and Sparkles.
Come to daddy. Which one you want, nigga?
Which one am I? Oh. What, this one? How are you gonna...
Like that? Bobby big dick on a nigga, huh?
Shit, for real, homie.
She
Damn, this
for
motherfucker
real.
got robo roof and everything, nigga.
He should have paid the nizzo.
When you gotta grind to keep that shit, now it's back on us.
Hell
Oh,
yeah.
no,
wanna see
I
what
wasn't
it do.
watching.
Hey, hit me on the speakerphone, Long.
Oh, it's like that? For sure, homie.
For sure. Whoa. How do I change the radio?
Right up here, homie. I'm about to go nice and slow for your bitch ass.
I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Ah!
Hey, remember we gotta
This not the upper. Ah! This is too much. This is hard.
Homie, man, you need some bread?
Homie.
Hook you up with JB's tow truck. It ain't got glamour, but it's some money to be made.
So him and Tanya can smoke crack in peace? Homie, I'm good.
Here we go. Full. Oh no. Sorry. Hope you have insurance. Oh no. Hope I have insurance. Where is he? Get out of my way. Hey, turn down the sensitivity. How do I do that? Chattings. I don't know if I want to try. Can I try free aim? Free aim assisted? I want some challenge. It was on assisted aim partial. And I could do it. So I'll leave it as it is. How do I... Since... I don't know what I'm looking for, sound assisted Sparkle. Sound assistant Sparkle, can you come here? Now that I fixed the car, I'm not gonna count that as a death because I died on purpose.
Come on. Shit,
Come on. Let's go. How do I run?
Damn. This nigga
Oh,
must got the baby.
see it on the earth. Yeah.
Yeah. And all this shit paid for with bad credit.
My kick. My.
Come to daddy. Which one you want, nigga?
Like
This one.
that? Bobby big dick on a nigga, huh?
Shit, for real, homie.
What does that mean?
Damn, this motherfucker got robo roof and everything, nigga.
Well,
He
about
should
roof.
have paid the Nizzo.
The
You gotta
Nizzo.
grind to keep that shit. Now it's back on us.
Hell yeah, I want to see what it do.
Tell her
Hey,
to
hit me
roof.
on the speakerphone,
Keep those
dawg.
brain.
Oh, it's like that? For sure, homie.
For sure. So then, how do I change the radio? No! Oh no!
For your bitch ass.
I'm gonna fail. So this is Birtles. This one's gonna count. Come on, how do I run? Run! In the... I'm on a run. That counts. Hey, I'll do it. Platform.
Come on. Shit, come on.
That's it. I don't know how to change the radio.
Damn. This nigga must got the baby.
It's a tear. Where's the radio? Radio. This camera. Why is it doing this? Video wheel. Is it down arrow? Left arrow.
Yeah. And all this shit paid for with bad
Somebody
credit.
run. I should have looked at that. Shoot.
Come to daddy.
Mid.
Which one you want, nigga?
Like that? Bobby big dick on a nigga, huh?
Shit, for real,
I should
homie.
bet the other one and see if he said something different.
Damn, this motherfucker
But I
got
like the
robo
red.
roof and everything, nigga.
He
Robot.
should have paid the
A
Nizzo.
rope.
And you gotta grind to keep that shit. Now it's back on us.
Hell yeah, I want to see what
A
it do.
grind.
Hey, hit me on the speakerphone, Lord.
Let's
It's
grind.
like that? For sure, homie.
For sure. Oops.
Right up here, homie.
It's only
I'm
with
about
the...
to go nice and slow for your bitch ass.
Shit, cool, homie.
I'm not very good at driving games. This might be a little tough for me.
Rise, homie. Send me on and about to dock my pay again.
Homie, man, if you need some bread, I can hook you up with JB's tow truck. It ain't got some money to be made.
So him and Tanya can smoke crack in peace?
Excuse me, or thread the needle.
You look that you do like them little cars.
Oh, oh, T-Bone them.
Talk, homie. You big everywhere except
Where'd he
where
go?
it counts.
Fool, knock it off. How about we let Tanisha decide that?
Oh,
She definitely ain't dumb
Oh.
enough to fuck with your ass.
it's again angry double times. Oh no. Oh,
Let's show these movie people how we roll.
hey. Oopsies.
Oh, we filming shit
Oh,
here, huh?
Ouch. Oh, oh. I hope you have health insurance.
Remember, this is your champion's car.
Hey, I'll come at you from the shoulders, homie.
They're gonna fire me.
You gotta watch out.
They're-
To allow Meriwether Security
Excuse me.
to expand domestic operations. operations.
Gang crime is on the rise. Experts blame lack of movies.
The funding war between security agencies rages in the capital.
It's official. Epsilonism is not a cult.
Credits
I'm sure
roll
it's on
on another
wheels.
historic Hollywood movie studio.
The Bossack in wild swings again as stocks drop.
Kevin Weston,
Okay, I'm getting the hang of it.
legendary billionaire investing guru.
Oh! Come on, Frank!
Please.
Oh, that was
homie.
fun. Oh, oh,
Thinking left.
I lost control.
What? I hear you.
Was happy after defeating a government plan to outlaw the expansion of Merryweather's domestic operations.
Oh no.
Expect more privatized high-security firms to begin domestic operations as the war on terror.
Domestic operations. Do you hear this radio right now? Sound Assistant Sparkles?
I'm gonna be one reluctant motherfucker giving this up.
Man, there's enough bad credit going around, homie. It's like
Oh.
it's an endless supply in this fucked up ass country.
Hang 'em right there.
Oh, thank you for
Yeah,
clearing the
whatever
path.
you say.
Well,
Left here, we going through the parking lot.
how do you drift?
Richards and his struggling Richards Majestic Studios
Oh,
will be reeling today from the news that another
too bad that's not my parking spot.
Lowenstein Pictures has closed and will be turned into luxury condos.
Come
There
on.
will soon be nothing left in America
Okay,
but
okay.
reality TV
Where you go?
and property that nobody can afford.
Funding war between IAA and FIB intensifies after Congress promised to slash spending, and both agencies recommend it's the other one.
I think I'm gonna fail.
Epsilonists were celebrating yesterday after the Supreme Court of the state of San Andreas overturned the Revenue Service's claim that the Epsilon program was a
Hey, be careful.
and therefore should have its charitable status repealed. Mr. Formage, who is believed to have amassed a fortune of several $billion, wept on the steps of the courthouse.
I'm stuck. I'm stuck. Sound Assistant Sparkles. Soon to be on next stream.
If you want to understand more, pick up my new book.
Finally, bitch. When you gonna learn how to move something?
I'll show you how to move something, nigga.
How did I get this
Oh
job?
shit, the one time.
Be cool, fool. We got the paperwork.
Whatever.
I don't
you
think I'm gonna
explain
be
that
able to
shit.
play.
I'll see you at the dealership.
Explain that shit my ass.
Oh god. Oh. Excuse me. Oh shit. This is really hard to like see where you're going and watch the map. Oh. He's ramming me. How do I get off this highway? How do I get on this highway? Oh, the compass! Stop hitting me! I'm going, I'm going. Dose me. Where am I? I'm on a racehorse track. And you have no traction. Edge. Oh yeah, we're outside and you can't see us. Woga. Am I clear? Oh, shoot! I wasn't paying attention. I was jamming to the song. It is not the right car for this. Never knowing. Banana. Oh, that's weird. My gosh, I'm gonna pee myself. I shouldn't have said that. Editing. Oh, okay, you got a new car. It's all pretty. Oh, it's already sprayed. Oh. Oh, excuse me. Okay, don't take the highway. How do I not take the highway? Excuse me. Don't stop me. Oh, how do I turn better? Sound assistant sparkles. Ow. Have fun with that. Test pedestrians. For me, don't run. Lost Big Bedford. And your runway.
I don't get you, bro.
You are a racist and I don't like you. And I will not sell you this car. I will not. You make my skin crawl, you neo-Nazi. Hey, you are all the same.
Oh.
This racist insulted
That's
me.
a really
Hey,
bad
up,
insult.
Who you calling a nigga? No, I'm not calling nobody a nigga. Wait, what the fuck? I mean, N-word.
What the F?
That's not cool, man. I don't say that.
You fucking right, and you better keep it right, because this man right here, he's an international businessman, a multiculturalist.
That I could not have said better myself.
For sure.
But seriously, maybe he's not a racist. But I don't think that he is man enough for a car like this.
Wait a second.
Oh,
This guy right here.
a nice big yellow
Him a hybrid.
something
That's a real
majig.
man's car.
Hummer.
think
Thank you,
you are
Sound
right,
Assistant
Lamar.
Sparkles.
You get a
Soon to
tax
be on
rebate.
next stream.
I understand.
Hummer.
Money is an issue, eh?
Money isn't an issue.
This is the best part. Watch this when he reel him in.
Money is no issue.
Money, watch this.
Look, man, I gotta go. Hey, Simeon,
I gotta
I'm
go.
out.
For
I'll
sure.
at you, homie.
It's the best part, man.
Holla.
So, Jimmy, are you sure you are man enough? Take the wheel and show me.
You know, not too bad.
Okay.
Buff
How
that
about
out.
we fall through, homie?
How do I run? Oh, got it. An interv. I will set Assistant Sparkles. Give me a moment.
You want to own a successful
Business of
Jump
K-pop.
change. How I'm gonna knock a bad, grown, and sexy?
Wait, Bo, I see. Hold it.
I went 6 feet under that.
Is this in America? Isn't it time you got into... We're giving the Chinese a real run for their money. Correctional institutions. And PIC,
I said that.
we'll
Alex
help you get set
Jones.
up with your own...
What shall we listen to? No Santos.
Bitch, if I ain't got a fat Pizaki.
That
Who
it.
you trying to impress?
Your auntie Denise.
With all that ass.
Let's
nigga,
try
see
and
that
not
ass?
damage.
She grown. Yeah. She grown into a fucking idiot.
No, she's sexy.
Sexy?
Get
She
me
more
out.
like obsessed with sex, nigga.
No, mad for the penis. That's exactly how I like my women.
Hey, Lucky. Okay, nice and easy now. Can't push me around. Don't push me around. Ah. Well, that was kind of interesting. Bad lyrics. Ah. Wait. Make. Hit the wrong turn. Oh, turn. Excuse me. Excuse me. Don't mind me. Where's our house?
Man, shit, it's good to be
Hello.
home.
Nice and gentle now. Nice and gentle. Don't push me around.
This is too great of a country to let this sort of thing happen to us.
What's up? Can a low
I think I bumped it.
Man, fuck you. I'll see you at work.
Oh, nigga, don't hate me because I'm beautiful, nigga. Maybe if you got rid of that old yee ass haircut you got, you get some bitches on
Beautiful.
your dick.
I don't know about that.
Oh, better yet, maybe Tanisha will call your dog ass and
You
she'll
know,
stop
wash your
fucking
mouth
with that
out with
brain
soap
surgeon
because of
lawyer she
nasty
fucking
words
with.
coming up.
Nigga.
Jace.
What?
What?
Oh,
Ooh, honey.
Gasly car, created in
Is
a
there a
nation that's
folder setting? It's honestly
95% condemned.
A folder setting?
We haven't
Yeah, for
forgotten
the
what
language.
America wants. A hunk of overpriced shit that goes fast and gets you vapid pussy. Bravado.
Why am I hearing
United
something?
we stand. Together we fall.
United we stand. Together we fall. Take his ass out. Maybe that was just the game.
This is
That was
America.
weird.
Our fires
Well,
burn
I'm hearing it
bright,
again.
especially in the trash barrels that keep people warm. We're after a riot because there's no jobs. America is hurting. We're at each other's throats.
Tell that. I'm gonna be right back because 12. Wait. Statuses and sparkles. How those bang on? There you go. Doing a little dance. Okay. Got to do some, I don't know, change outfits. Oh, shoot. I play it all. Oh, shit. Oh, I like that.
Selling your 40,000 square foot
Yes.
at Windsor Real Estate, we are the home of super prestigious real estate in Los Santos. Our experienced and knowledgeable professionals work hard. We look up some mansions on the internet, get the keys, give you a
That alarm guy.
then make 6%.
Can see the hat. Okay.
Last time you gave your auntie
Yo, 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 auntie.
Coins ain't never bit nobody.
For the man who isn't satisfied
Well,
with one roof over his head, he
you
wants
better get that off your face. That's gonna.
bowling alley,
That might stain it.
club quality gym, meditation room,
And if I've never done those.
dungeon, 7,000 bottle wine cellar, moving
I
salt
can't punch.
7 places to watch
What am I doing?
hidden cameras and two-way mirrors, no bookcases, a shark aquarium, exotic petting zoo, and 8
Boy,
you brought me sick with worry.
Windsor Real Estate. Real estate
Ow.
at the highest price imaginable. It's who you are.
And let us just be doing sound assistant sparkles. Oh,
Frankly,
how do I answer?
hey, what's going down, home? The market, my boy. Liquidity's a bitch. Get over here so I can give you the new repo list. All right, dog. I'll be around when
New
I get a
repo
change.
list. Yo, be ran. Alert. Odyssey on. I hate Trina. The autosave thing. Stop playing time trials are now available at some weird icon. I don't know what that is.
Probably touch down when the sun come in. When them guards hit the gate, I'll be tired as fuck after that 8-hour race. I come from the
I don't like this radio station. I like this. Wait, hold. I did that already. I don't know map. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Use to duck. Looks like him barfing. I mean, where am I going? No! This is gonna be a problem. I keep thinking, why is map? I've already seen him. Nice. I'll let him, nothing's happened. Nothing's happening. This one? I know I track it. Okay, I think I did it. I did it. Excuse me, lady. Sirs. Blah. I got an angry man on my 6. Huh. Down, 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 boom. Game over hero. Gotta get the repo list. That was pretty cool. Oh. Carnegie Park birthday. Let's go get this list. How do I run? Got to hold it? Or does he not have stamina?
Hey, what's up, Simeon? My dear boy, so good to see you. So good. Hold me.
Pops.
Yeah, look, man. Look, we've been working together for about a few months now, right?
Which is why I am very honored
Few months.
to announce to you that
Surprised
you
you've lasted.
are Employee of the Month.
Because our driving
Anyway,
sucks.
Congratulations. It wasn't easy picking a winner.
Yeah, me, Lamar, your nephew Sacha with the Twitch. Look, man, it's been a real honor, homie. But I gotta move forward in my life. It seems like all I do is let people tell me what to do and I do it and nothing changes.
Look at
What,
4
my boy,
months.
you tell me exactly what you want, and I
Would
will
I run
very
the whole
carefully
shop?
explain to you why it cannot be.
thirsty.
What? Today is repossessing vehicles that fools have purchased at exorbitant interest rates. But tomorrow, together, I never had a black son. But if I did, I want him to be just like you.
Knock, knock, nigga.
Hello,
What's up,
Lamar.
City? What's up, homie? What's up, then, homie?
What's up, dog?
Franklin here has been awarded Employee of the Month.
You fucking with me, right?
Oh, he did me mad.
Man, we both being fucked with, dog.
No, he mad.
Knock it off, man. For real, after all the motherfucking work I put in, man.
Man, fuck this Employee of the Month shit, homie. I'm sitting up here trying
What
to
you
get
mean, fuck this employee of the
Probably
month
gets
shit,
like
man?
a-
When there's some shit to be won,
a
goddammit, I
bonus.
want it. I don't
That's
give a
nice.
fuck what it is. You know what I'm talking about? I take no
I hope he
prisoners.
gets a
I go
bonus.
hard doing this shit. Big dog, big nuts. When names is on the
Big
motherfucking board,
dog.
I want to see my name at the top of that motherfucking next to it. It needs to say,
I need a gangster nickname.
Hey, maybe next month, huh?
man, fuck next month, Simeon. What about today? I
Calm
got
it,
demand a
phone.
retrial.
Today is nothing, just a bike. Hasn't
What's a
made the
gangster
payment at all.
candy?
Some kid at Vespucci Beach. His name is Esteban Jimenez.
Is he in the gang?
Curiously enough, I did not inquire when he bought the bike.
We got work to do, employee of the month.
Fuck you.
Employee
He's a
of the month.
mouse ass nigga.
POM, as they say.
What we waiting for? Magellan Ave, nigga. Vespucci Beach. And you still rolling with that old raggedy
Guys,
ass
take
hair?
one of these.
That country bumpkin shit is enough to get us shot right there.
I never took you to be old
Go.
hairstylist type bitch, but now it's all starting to make sense.
How about you drive?
I know. Protected. I don't like these controls. They're not natural to
we
me.
gonna collect on this repo or
I
what?
keep clicking the R stick or the left stick to run.
Hey, wasn't that motherfucker who took the bike that S.A. Vagos dude with the tattoo on his face and shit?
Yeah, that was him.
Fuck, homie.
Oopsies. Excuse
I don't want no
me.
unnecessary bullshit here,
Keep
alright?
moving.
Nigga, I don't give a shit. There's a reason Simeon pays a couple
I
of
don't
million
give
of
no
motherfuckers to
crap.
come repo this shit. We ain't Girl Scout.
In your case, I ain't so sure about that.
Man, step up, nigga. Of course
I was a
it's
Girl
so
Scout
real. Who else
once.
gonna have to require
Have
surplus of paper
brownies.
and deficiency of
I never
brain
made
cells?
it to Girl
We just
Scouts
put a
actually
dub
because
down
I
on
couldn't
this bike.
handle the
20
camping.
G's?
With a 3G note?
Just the wrong way.
Motherfucker must be tricked out,
Excuse
dawg.
me, I
Man,
took
this
a wrong
whole setup
turn.
designed to take drug money.
Alright, man, look. We
Skis
go in
roll.
quiet, in and out, no fucking drama.
I'll try, homie, but I'm one loud, dramatic, brass, crazy, greedy, shoot a motherfucker in the back type motherfucker. And you love me for it, nigga.
That's right, homie. Nothing but love, nigga.
That Simeon a funny dude, though. It's gonna be a shame when we get to book his ass and jack him for all this shit.
What the fuck you talking about? You're a psychotic
Pardon me.
That's how shit work, ain't it? You do some jobs for a fool, develop a little uneasy relationship,
What
and then they ask you to do something
back,
above and
back.
beyond. You fall out, fools get capped, and then
Yeah.
you start all over again with some other fool.
Bad.
You get that from?
Excuse me. Well, that was entirely your fault.
Marcus or something, you was slanking for him, and then he got what was coming, right?
When wanted that? I want that
Dude
fed.
had it
Oh,
coming.
I don't want to clap my boy Interior either. I like homies. This just smacks of the inevitable.
Look, dog,
is
this
it?
time we legit, homie. This honest work is gonna end
Um,
up with us coming up in the world.
Miss Saddle?
The bike should be in one of the lockups down
Oh, there we go.
Should be is the story of your life, asshole.
Phase hole. Can I say that on stream?
Watch me, fool.
Next to climb.
Crazy motherfucker want something. Hey, what's up, homie? You alright?
No, wait from me! For example, agents!
Are there zombies in this game?
Yeah, you thought I was gonna hit your bitch ass, huh? Drunk ass nigga.
Got him.
Play it cool.
They make crouching.
Man, I don't like this shit one bit.
It's ooh.
Hey, look, let's keep it smooth, homie.
Man, your pussy the only thing that's smooth.
One of Bike's car.
Man, what exactly did I do in a past life to deserve
I
your
need kitty
stupid
cat.
ass?
Can I get a
This
pet?
routine lick, dog. Chill.
Do them Vagos look routine? This a shady ass alley.
Shit, we in Vespucci Beach.
Where are we
Wrong side of
going?
Vespucci Beach. You should know a block makes a difference.
Hey, hold up. Got to be
What if
in one
it's
of these
shady? The one all the way at the end?
Man, ain't this about a bitch? No motherfucker bike in here, man.
No shit, nigga.
Hola, amigos.
Hola, S.A.
We saw you
Hola.
trying to get back in here, man.
Yeah, you saw this motherfucker?
Oh, shit. Vamos.
Oh, got him. Got him.
Hey, nigga, I would've just got my ass beat over.
We didn't. I don't think we have a weapon.
Man, stop being a pussy, nigga, and grab
Go
that
pick
heat.
this up. Okay, hold. Meet me the Gillen.
Fuck, they must have heard some
The-
shit. Find your bitch ass some cover.
Yes, Sazen.
Motherfuckers on the scaffolding.
Oh no.
Let's get through this. Man, what's a few more of these motherfuckers?
Flipping bricks is easier work, dog.
Up there, shoot that nigga. Bust his ass. Damn. They trying to build. Hit that rock.
Ouchie. I'm wasted. Wasting. Yeah, leave that sound. There you go. Thank you, Sounds. This is Sparkles. Gonna be on next stream. Okay, this time don't get shot. How do I get cover?
Find your bitch ass some cover. Ugly ass bitch.
If you don't mind, dog, we'll be leaving.
Ah. Okay.
It's getting hot in this alley. Homie, get out.
I did. Yeah. I can't get this dude. How do I get out of here? Okay. They in.
They got me pinned down. Shoot that gas can.
Shoot the gas can. Where?
Follow me. Let's get through this.
How do I get the shotgun that he was talking about? I never where he's talking. This one?
There's the fool on the balcony. Damn, there's a gang of niggas out
Do I have health?
You sure pick the right people to pick a fight with, nigga.
Get that car. Get out of here. How many they got? Shoot the guys, homie.
Where are the gas cans? Oi, oi, oi. When you're doing my Dutch sound with Sister Sparkles. Thank you.
Get those fools. Fuck, they must have heard some shit. Get behind you. Thanks, man. Shit, on your left. Find your bitch ass some cover. Man, you got people with ugly shit. Genius, keep your head down.
He's slow. You know, I'm wizard.
You'll get PC'd up in the pen, nigga. These marks don't even know what we're here for.
You just blast their people. That might be why they irritated.
Only one way out this motherfucker. Reload. Motherfuckers on the scaffold is on me. Shoot up that cannon.
Dead hand?
Get in behind that truck, homie. daddy drink will eat you out. Ah! Get your fucking head down. Close them down, that's that. Appreciate it, Fiona. Up there, to the right. Up there, shoot that nigga. Bust his ass.
Shoot that guy. Oh, yeah, where's that shotgun? Okay.
Why this always happen?
Where are they? Oh, I got him. Are they good?
Man, we only came here for a bite.
And that motherfucker is right there. Hey, nigga, come here. We got your pink slip. May as well get this shit done.
Man, this is fucking crazy.
This is crazy. Think a nice car? Hey.
Let's get him, homie.
Get him. Okay. Let's get him, homie.
25 with an L. We massacred those motherfuckers. Shit. That's a monster fucking bike you riding, stupid.
Oh no, I took a wrong turn. How can you help? Oh no.
That's because he's sitting on 100
Yeah, he is.
inches right there, nigga.
Oh shit, Professor, you're right. This punk get away, we going down, homie. He gonna pin us for all these bodies.
And whose fault is that, Mr. 80s action movie body count motherfucker?
Don't play the blame game, just get on this shit. We need to shoot him off the bike. A couple scraps is better than nothing. Get that bike back. What is wrong with you?
Excuse me, ladies.
Shoot him down.
Shoot him down.
Ooh. You had him. Get back up there.
Where is he?
Shoot that motherfucker.
I don't know how to do the hiss. What is it? Sound assistant purpose? I'm pissed.
You tripping. That's the bike you came for. What's wrong with you? I'll drive next time. What's going on, brother?
Nigga, I should punch your ass for kicking that shit off. Bike don't mean nothing, homie.
Alright, that one doesn't count because I didn't know how to shoot. Okay, how do I do this again, citizens of Argos? Trigger? The bumper? Right bumper shoots. Okay. Okay. Hit him a couple times.
May as well get this shit done.
We really gonna repo after all this bullshit.
I can't get in the car.
You driving, right? Let's get him, homie. I want to get paid.
Paid ain't worth shit when you doing 25 with an L. We massacred those motherfuckers.
Excuse me, bro.
Cross him already. That's a monster fucking bike you riding, stupid.
This punk get away, we going down, homie. He gonna pin us for all these bodies.
I'm going there, Tommy.
Action movie body count motherfucker.
Don't play the blame game. Just get on this shit.
Ah.
Shoot him off the bike. Motherfuckers scrapping better than
No, how?
Motherfuckers getting away from us.
That's because he's sitting on 140 cubic inches right there, nigga.
Hey.
Professor, you're right.
Go, go, go. Where is he? Okay.
That's the bike we
This is hard. I'm trying.
We want your bike, bitch.
Stop. I need the paddles. Can we use paddles? That'd be really fun. Oh, where is he? Oh, great. Just perfect.
Hey, you just turned this into a buck.
Oh, I can't drive. Sound assistant Sparkles. I might need sound assistant Sparkles to do this mission for me. Excuse all. I wish I had like a wheel. That would be really fun. I can't see where I'm aiming. It's so tiny, I can't see it. Can we increase the size? Oh, sorry, Kappas. It's because I probably accidentally aimed for civilians. We're good. Can I get a different car? I'm on the clock. I'm on the clock. Don't hit me. Okay. Yeah. My car is falling apart. Getting better because I'm going straight. Oh. Get out of my way. Get him. Oh no, a cop's coming on and they're right ahead of you. You're coming up on the cop, sorry.
It's not reserved for me.
No, but I come in.
gotta lay low. Get the bike and meet me at the car wash on Innocent. Be cool, my nigga.
Okay, now use Anesthesia Sparkles. For my fear help in my time of need. Soon to be on next stream. Okay, now we just have to hide from the coppers. Whoa! Don't pick me! I'm on a motorcycle! It's dangerous. Oh. Oh no! I forget that I have to brake. Huh? Oh. Where was I supposed to go? Oh. Wait, look, what's this one? And they forgot about me. Yeah, yo. You're my Francis. Sounds just says Sparkles, you're so picky.
It's time to fall.
I guess that was kind of actually funny. Nope, yeah.
Where did the other one go? I mean, that is...
Look at this picture. Oh, this is a great view. How do I take a picture? Thank you. No.
It's tropical thunder, it's William on your board, it's body and soul, and it was Sin Kane with Sal P from Liquid Liquid with a Sudanese twist. It's Giles Peterson right now, broadcasting across Los Santos.
Where's like pop?
Serve machine with an ice cream enema, or get ravaged by a burly Russian with the
Ooh, ice cream.
Rectify Holistic.
I have ice cream. It's kind of late. This shouldn't eat more sweets. What's that? Ice cream. Then what? Dominic there. Vroom, vroom, vroom.
Sand in your pants.
I went really far. Oh no, did I go like in a different state? Jeez. Sunrise is pretty too. Look at that. Oh, I almost died. Smiling faces. Smiling faces. Smiling faces. They don't tell the truth. I think that's what he said. Brand new. Dina's smiling faces. I don't know the words of the smiling faces. Upside down. Smiling, oh, smiling faces. Smiling faces. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Beware. Oh yeah, beware. Beware. Might just hold you back. Knees of me. And round faces, smiling faces. Oh, I missed my turn. Faces, smiling faces. Pray. You sure? This is very confusing. How do people navigate this? Take my advice, smiling faces.
Here's one's gonna blow your jock off.
Smiling faces. Well,
Songs to take your
excuse
mind
you.
off all that madness out there. Hey, I've been to the joint. I cut a fool for running
I'm
his
double
damn mouth.
WSRing you.
That was the days before prisons were built for profit. Back when a criminal was a person that society hadn't raised right and deserved a second chance. Yes, we all deserve second chances. And I know I can make you feel good, San
Well,
Andreas. Just give me
where's
a
my
second
turn?
chance.
Here it is.
I don't care if it takes all night long, baby. Mama Greer is here.
Ooh,
to
on
help
that
you
note.
through the night.
Where is this place? Oh, the professor. I survived. Look at that blood. I'm fine. Rub some dirt in it. I'm fine.
Let's keep this vibe
Smiling faces. Smiling faces. Okay. There. Oh. Oh. There. My turn. Schools May. Can I rob people of their clothes? That would be interesting. Saw a man with a fancy suit. Looked quite nice. Ah, get him away. Right here? Oh, I see.
Man, I can't hang with your ass for a while, bro. You a psychopath. You done finally fucking lost it.
Nigga, that's that Apache blood in me, homie. You ain't lucky I ain't do a flying tomahawk and
Apache?
scalp they motherfucking ass.
We can't repo the assets of a dead man, big sitting chief asshole.
Nigga, and we ain't going to neither, nigga. I'm gonna keep this motherfucker for myself. Tell Simeon we couldn't recover.
I want to keep it.
You fucking
I want a motorcycle. That was really fun. Highest. Okay, cool. What was my score? Okay. Never. Well, what am I supposed to do? Well, I'm actually gonna take a quick interlude. No. Okay, where do we go? I'm right, Barbie. Simeon.
I'm your DJ Cara, loving this music and loving a place as mad as Los Santos. How do we all end up here?
Los Santos. Take me. And I like this station. For your pleasure. Then, please. How do I get in? Let me in. I don't know where I'm going. We're in it now. Is it because he's closed? Do I need to go sleep? Save load game. Sound assistant sparkles. I didn't know what to do. Eli currently playing a mission. I am not playing a mission. Straight to this question mark? Strangers and freaks. Yeah, he's closed for the night. See if we can find a better car. Excuse me. Been here before. No more. No more. I think we're okay. Still newbie Vtuber here, which is our inevitable. Well, it's hard to see. I don't know if I'm going to the right spot. What? am I doing? I thought... Okay, now I did it. Huh?
You're stuck on non-stop pop. Do not even think about going anywhere at all, or I'll cry. The love me.
And another way. Oh, excuse me. No. Oh. Jump, 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 jump. I like this song. Let's keep driving around for a minute. No. I love this song because it's from Divergent. Such a good movie and book.
Hey, look out for fools like me.
Sorry. Rainbow charge. La la la. La la la. I want a motorcycle. Dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Someone around here has to own a motorcycle I can steal. Come on. Excuse me. Hey, don't call me that. That's mean. Bow. Kinda. We're just gonna drive around. Oh. The city is my church. Ha. Wow. I guess it's hard to steal a car on the highway. Uh-oh. There we go.
This is Weasel News.
Wait, what?
Adult film stars are protesting.
I don't know what the e-brake is.
A protester has been knifed to death at a protest over the shooting death of a
And I guess because I have a flat tire.
Is upset at the new law requiring adult film actors to wear condoms. The actresses have told City Council to let them make terrible life decisions on their own.
The government should stay out of my vagina.
Hello.
Most people should, until this little problem clears up.
heartbreak today as a man was killed at a protest.
Get out of here. Taking it. Thank you.
Ready to kill, so tested on my way.
Dance pop classic. Never stop, never stop, never stop. On 100.7 FM.
I like how the cops don't even care for stealing people's cars. My kind of city. In video game form. Don't scratch the paint. There we go. There we go. Now where's home? You heard me too. I'm saving this. Right to the saves it.
You love it here.
Got to get out. To walk away. Wait, there's a question mark here. Oh, I can just walk.
Hey, boo. What's wrong with you, boy?
Hey, boo.
When a real woman can show you a good.
What the fuck is wrong with you, Tanya?
Ain't nothing wrong with me, nigga. Shit.
Tanya.
Your ass don't look too good. Where the fuck is JB?
Smoking.
And what about you?
I mean,
smoking.
You know, you know what I'm saying? Almost.
Yeah, whatever.
JB gonna lose everything. He gonna lose the house. You know what I'm saying? The business, everything, and you his cousin, nigga. You said
you know what I'm
was
saying?
Ain't my cousin.
Whatever, if that's how you feel.
What the fuck do I know about towing cars?
Look, it's easy. If JB can do it, you can do it for fuck's sake. Come on, I'ma show you. Come on, shit.
All right then, shit.
Show him everything.
Hey, look, let's make this quick.
Let's
I got
go
shit to
repo.
Nigga, you need to slow it down.
I almost getting in the car.
Tanisha was right.
I should have drove. Gotta get our steps in.
Where your wheels at?
Right, here, bitch. Calm down. Oh. Alright, here, Meg. Come on, get in. Problems? Can't get in? Ow.
Hey, shit, where we going?
Trucks at the Davis Sheriff Impound.
Oh, man, how did I get dragged into this?
We both know you always been sweet on me.
Kimmel?
Shit, Franklin Clinton.
Shit, your ass must be high or something.
I told you, I don't do that shit no more. Look out! I don't do that shit
dang
no more.
it.
I mean, I'll baby doze now and again.
Fresh
just for the
car
taste.
already ruined.
But I'm doing good, boo. Your eyes don't lie.
Whatever
I'm
you say,
doing
girl.
good.
Come on.
Say it now.
This
Take me in a higher.
Let's go bring the church.
I don't know the words.
Homie.
I need to learn out these words. Can I keep this? I just want to drive this around for the rest of the game. I like it. It's my style.
Truck, sugar. Ain't nothing to be scared of.
Vehicle 29,
Look
come in.
there.
We got an abandoned car at San Andreas Avenue.
Yo, we on that like ugly on your mama.
10-9, come again? I didn't catch that.
It's Tanya, fool, and my boy Franklin. We filling in for JB.
Copy that. Hi, Tanya. Car's a junker.
Filling in for JB.
I'm gone.
A bucket. This one should be easy.
Shit, not easy enough for JB to drag his ass out of whatever crack house he laying in.
I like this. I have a nice view of the road.
Sugar.
Except I ain't gaining shit, sugar.
Move that seat back, and you know I'll make it right
Sugar.
for you.
That ain't what I'm saying. Damn, Tanya. What the fuck happened to you? Hey.
Oh. Oopsies.
Memories from the 80s, 90s, noughties, and today.
Excuse me.
That's whack.
I wasn't paying attention. Hit and run. Watch out.
Okay, I've seen
Okay.
JB do this 100 times. Back up close. Make sure the hook is down. And it should slide right in.
That's what she said.
Alright, baby. Back it up nice and steady.
She's being naughty.
Okay, we are in, baby.
Got
Let's
it.
get this back to the lot.
Hey, this was not how I saw my day going.
Taking it to the impound.
So So I ain't seen you around the hood much.
I've been trying to branch out.
How do I lower? How do I raise the crane?
Nigga got airs now. I remember you before you was a wannabe
Click
when you
it.
just was.
And I remember you and JB
Stop
before
doing
y'all
anything.
was dopehead. Shit changed.
Yeah.
You the one all turfed
Also
out.
left stick.
JB smoking, but he ain't smoking homies. He out here grinding, towing cars, paying bills.
For
And
real.
what line those vans?
Cause I could have sworn it was me out here towing cars for him.
And looking damn fine doing it too, baby.
Oh, she likes us. She wants us. Jumbo. No. What? Keys rule. Go round real. Go without fail.
Okay, we make the drop where they got the areas marked. They get real finicky
Watch out,
when we don't leave it in the right
lady.
place.
Where's the right place?
Okay, boo, you can drop it right here.
I see. I was in the right spot. Oh. Ow. How did I
See you
drop?
on the block. Anything
Got
you
it.
need, you holla at me.
Holla. Holla at your boy.
Now, where is
Franklin.
that fool?
Prayest. 75%. Not too shabby. Could be better.
Vote.
Okay. Strangers and freaks. Ooh, strip club. Stop playing tiger. Is that his next story quest or is that Franklin? Stimian. Sad assistant sparkles, which one should I do? Freaks.
Oh, so now you want to pick up. I got Franklin do that job for you. Franklin Clinton? Who do you think, JB? What job? Your job.
Yeah, my weight. Los Santos. Ferrero from well. Skis below.
Let's take it to a
Bit,
different
bit,
place
bit.
right now with some Bob Seger.
Oh, some Bob Seger.
Got off lucky, homie.
Damn. Rider. Pathetic. Oh, oh. Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. I was too far away. Miles and miles. Excuse me. How do I e-brake again? I get the hang of it one day. That day is not today. Oh! Oh! Yeah. Try to steal his bike?
What the fuck? Give me that motherfucker. Hey, whoa, back off there, cowboy. I know my constitutional rights. Anyway, I know you're coming here to suck cock, so it's all right.
What the fuck you talking about?
Wow, hey, look, I saw Quarterback Blues, man. And, you know,
This
some of
is
those older records of yours, even they sound a little bit closeted. I'm just saying.
What? A black
What?
man walking in Vinewood, you think he Clay PG sellout? You bitch-ass punk motherfucker.
Oh, shit, man. Oh, hey,
I don't know who he's
dude.
talking
I just
about.
didn't have my contacts in, you know? I mean, I love black people. Yeah, you know, like I love gangsters. I love, like, gangster rap. Yo,
So
suck.
racist.
Man, who gives a fuck if he's gay or not, man? The man is not married. It's his business. Leave motherfuckers alone.
Yeah, it says
Look, I'm
business.
just saying that it's the hypocrisy that I can't stand. You know, I mean, of celebrities. Right? I mean, PG, right? He says he's a killer and a murderer and all that great stuff. And then, what, he loves his mother and likes show tunes. I mean, really, what kind of message is that sending our kids? You know what I'm saying? The guy's a fraud.
But why do you care, man?
Yeah, because, you know why? Because they all think they're gods, right? Well, fuck them. Fuck them! Fuck them! Fuck them! Fuck them! Fuck them! They're not magic. No,
He's trying to make a mobster, gangster guy mad.
It's Miranda.
That doesn't sound like a good plan.
Come on, it's fucking Miranda fucking Cowan.
Man,
She's
look.
a fucking megastar.
No, leave me out your shit, man.
Oh, no.
Who?
We can make boku bucks here, man. We get one picture of her hairy legs or her aging muff, and we are in the money, man. In the money, bro. Come on, man.
What the fuck is wrong with me?
Come on, mate.
Let's go. You drive. I'll get the shot.
All right. Deal.
Go. Get us right up alongside that limo. Go on your marriage-busting muff, Miranda. You bitch.
Come back, you limo.
Stick that fucking limo like glue. Oh, you're human. You bitch. You don't believe it? She's slamming a speedball in there, man. This is journalistic gold. You're a fucking lunatic. It's in the public interest. You homewrecker. You're a fucking mess. Look at you. Man, they don't call her the silicone slattern for nothing. She looks like a bloodhound in a
I
wind
like
tunnel.
pictures to tape.
Oh, man, no wonder this whole town's in therapy.
Come on. You ruined Mark Fossenberg's wife's life. Not that close. Oh, yeah, real subtle. Don't bring her off the road, man.
We done yet?
No, she still looks too good. I want the prisoner of war shot. That's where the big zeros are.
What does that even mean, a prisoner of war shot?
Fuck you, Beverly. This one's mine. Oh, no. It's that bottom feeder Madison. Shit, he's getting the money shots. Where's your dignity, man? Forget Miranda. We can't let him steal my exclusive. Get alongside him. I'll knock the weasel off. Stay on that bastard! Whatever you do, do not lose them!
I heard you the first time, man.
Where is he? I lost
Hey,
it.
I saw her first! Getting away! Come on!
Maybe if you shut up for a
I'm
second.
working on it.
I downloaded your pictures to the fucking road, Madison.
Yeah.
Now grow up and get a boy's name.
Did
Okay,
it.
buddy, let's get out of here. I'm already late for another stakeout. There's a small parking lot by the Cafe Redemption
I like this
Courtyard in More.
Oh.
Oh, you moron!
Yeah, moron. Thanks. Double dumbass on you. I have a vehicle too.
Drop me there, and you can
What am I
keep the
doing?
bike, because I look after my people.
Look after your people? Man, I know when a ride is hot. If this is your bike, then I'm the fucking Pope, dawg.
Okay, okay. Don't ruin the vibe. I think I got a decent shot of Miranda back there.
So we splitting what you get for the photo, 50-50, right?
Yeah, well, I kind of thought the bike would cover your share. I mean, I did do all the work.
All right, homie. It's been an education, dawg. Look, keep on making the world a better place, you hear me?
Homie.
The public needs to know. The fans
See ya,
deserve
Holmes.
answers.
Shit, not if the question is how low is Miranda Collins' muff hanging or if she getting banged out by some second-rate director.
They need to know everything, from crow's feet to camel toes. Hey, hey, hey. Come by the manor next week. Continue the search for the truth.
Look, don't wait around for me, homie.
Oh, I'm waiting for you, homie.
Homie. Dog. Yes, alright, I think this is a good wrap-up spot. We'll see you back at it tomorrow, hopefully.